I think this video is for people who are just ready to go, good to go, man. You just want to deal with those adverse childhood experiences and unresolved traumas and just want to delve in and just heal so that you can start enjoying life again. For those of you who want to find some kind of peace in life, this may be for you. This video is about recognizing, going back and recognizing unresolved traumas, adverse childhood experiences, and just digging deep. My name is Vanessa, and I want to share a tip on what I did to really dig into my healing and my unresolved traumas and adverse childhood experiences. Adverse childhood experiences are things that have happened to us in our childhood that affect us when we're older. And the more adverse childhood experiences that we have, the more likely we are to have physical or mental ailments. So one thing that I did was I made like this timeline. And this timeline, I went back as far back as I could think of bad things that happened because I wanted to dig deep. I wanted to heal. And what I did was I had a pen and paper and I just kind of drew a timeline, and I went back and started writing, filling in like what happened when I was this younger than I remember, or what did I experience as a kid that I need to heal from because it's still affecting me today as an adult. What I found in my journey is a lot of my issues that I have been dealing with in present day. For example, abandonment issues. So if I'm in a relationship, I would find myself pushing him away because my thinking, my subconscious thinking was, I'm going to leave you and push you away before you leave me. Right? So there was control issues there, right? There was abandonment issues. So it was like a lot of self-sabotaging. And at the time, of course, I didn't recognize it, but looking back, yeah, it was all there. And so where did that come from? They're usually hard things that I don't want to deal with, right? I don't want to admit that I'm wrong. I don't want to admit that I have dysfunctional thinking, right? No, nobody wants to admit that about themselves. So I knew that I would just keep attracting the same kind of person, being in the same kind of relationship, ended up doing and going through the same crap over and over again until I learned a lesson. Now, what I have learned so far from being self-aware and reflecting on my life is that there are certain life lessons that I need to learn. Otherwise, I just keep going through it over and over again, right? Same crap, different pile. And when I reflect back and I look at it, I'm like, okay, I need to learn forgiveness. That's one of my life lessons. Learning to let go, that's another lesson. Self-acceptance, right? So there's these things that I need to learn. Right now, I'm in self-love. What does it mean to self-love? And having self-compassion. So for those of you that want to do this now, grab a pen and paper and just kind of like follow along, pause the video if you need to. For those of you who maybe not quite so ready, that's okay. You can just listen and then just have it all in the back of your mind. And when you are ready, you can always come back to the video. So on your paper, as you can see, I wrote, this is just an example of what I did. So this is very similar to what I did. And these are real examples. So I drew a timeline. So I just drew a line across. And at the beginning, I went and I did what I needed to heal from. So my first trauma or adverse childhood experience when I was 9 months in the womb, that's a whole other video. That was more energy work that helped me realize that was one of my first troubles. So in the womb, so I was due December 25th, born January 8th. And there was some complications. I was in the womb too long. They had to cut me out. And so if you can imagine, the womb is the safest place. And even though I was due on the 25th of December and I was well overdue, I was still not ready to come out. So when they cut me out of my mom, there was this there must have been this belief in my head that I'm not in control of my environment. I'm not in control. And so maybe that's where some of my control issues stem from, is because I was ripped out of my mom when I wasn't ready. I did not want to leave there. I did not want to enter this cold world. But I was ripped out and brought into this world. And so that was one of the things. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to talk to myself at that state in that point in time in my mind. And so I'm going to talk to myself out loud so you can hear how I process things. So I recognize that that's something like, okay, Vanessa, you needed to come out, because if not, you would have had brain damage. You could have died. There could have been some serious health complications. So they needed to cut you out. They needed to get you out of your mom's tummy. I know it was safe there. I know it was warm. You didn't want to leave there. But that is the order of things. We are in the womb for 9 months. But at one point, it's time to come out. So don't be so hard on yourself. It's time to come out. Let go of that control. Let go of that anxiety. Let go of that anger. Let go of that hurt. We are safe now. And the next one is an adverse childhood experience. So what I got from this was, okay, my parents' separation, that's an adverse childhood experience. So my parents separating, imagine this. For me, well, and I think for anybody, we all believe that our parents are supposed to stay together, right? So as a kid, when my parents separate, imagine this. My mom was in university and I was a little girl, and I was always hanging out with my dad. And somewhere along the line, when they separated, I no longer was with my dad every day. And I was with my mom. Was her attention really on me, or was it on her grieving? So if I'm a little girl, I no longer have my dad. My dad is no longer with me every day. And my mom is probably grieving in her own way. And she's probably not helping me grieve what's going on. How is she grieving, right? I highly doubt that that's what my mom was thinking. So it's an adverse childhood experience, and I was affected deeply in that sense. Forgive yourself for being so hard on yourself. Forgive your mom and your dad, because they can love you. They are so proud of you. They love you so much, Vanessa. It's time to let that go. Know that your parents love you. Forgive them and forgive yourself, Vanessa. Right? So you see, like, I'm talking to myself. This is how I talk to myself. This is how I process things in my brain so that I can help myself let go of stuff. My niece committed suicide. And so this was an unresolved trauma for me, because my children kept telling me that they saw red flags of her mental state, of her suicidal ideation. They told me red flags, and I didn't do anything about it. And so that guilt, that ate me up. And it just weighed on me, and I hated myself for not speaking up, for not acting on it, for not doing something, for just not being there for her to comfort her in her pain. So going back to myself, then I have to tell myself, you know what, Vanessa? Yes, it was scary. You didn't want to believe it. You were terrified. Yes, you had training. Yes, you were aware and you know what to do and how to go about it. But for some reason, Vanessa, you just froze and you didn't respond and react the way you would have now. And unfortunately, she is not coming back. And you loved her, and you, as much as you would have loved to have her here today, she's not coming back. You have to forgive yourself, Vanessa. Right? So I'm going through and I'm telling myself, even at that point, I was an adult. That was in 2014. So how was that for you? For those of you who followed along, did the steps, did the processing, how was it for you? Did that help? For those of you who didn't do it and you just kind of listened, does that make sense that might be able to help you process what you were going through at that time, through whatever unresolved trauma, or adverse childhood experience? Do you think this would help you? Just take some deep breaths to end this, because going through that trauma And going back there in those times and moments can bring up some anxiety. And so once again, I have a video called Creating a Safe Place. And this is where I put my hand on my right knee and instantly I just think of my beautiful safe place where I know, you know what, I am safe. No one can hurt me. And so what I do is and some people put their hand on their chest where their heart is, right? And so I tell myself, you know what, Vanessa, that happened then and it's not happening now. You are safe. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it. If you think that this video could help somebody, please share it with them. I am sharing my journey and little pieces of it to help because I think that's one, a part of my healing is to share what I've experienced and went through so that I can process it. And then two, it's just a part of my purpose in life is to help others. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.